Hello and welcome, everybody. It's week 10. We did it. 10 weeks of receiving a fucking body process. And I am so grateful for everyone who's like chosen to come and play in the challenge or chosen to come and watch the lives, chosen to come and just check out what this weird, crazy, wacky world of access consciousness tools even are. It's just been so amazing to see what's shown up in my own life with my own body, and what some other people are saying have shown up for them as well. And it's really just been an invitation for people to truly choose to receive the gift of our bodies and the gift of these amazing body processes from access consciousness. And we have a very special, amazing, magical guest here today, Miss Sylvia Puentes, 3-day body class facilitator. She's also the America's event coordinator for Access, former teacher, among many amazing other wonderful things. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Sylvia.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I so love that you added former teacher. I forget, it feels like such another lifetime ago. And speaking of bodies, I used to teach kindergarten. So the energy of the kindergartners and that aliveness that they have in their bodies, I just remember it back in those years. It was always about how do you keep a child sitting in their chair, quiet, raising their hand if they had a question. And it's like, wow, how many of us have actually silenced our bodies, put some order so they could behave, line up correctly, be quiet in class so the teacher could call on you, praise you. And it's like, wow. Like I remember being that teacher as we were being evaluated, going, if you're expecting a quiet classroom, don't come to mine. Because I was like, the kids are excited. They're alive. They all want to answer. They all want to be seen and be heard. And that was part of the joy that I had teaching kindergarten. So I would say that facilitating access consciousness is no different. It's just reawakening those kids, that enthusiasm of living, that enthusiasm of, wow, I have a body. And yes, I want to stand up. I would like to dance. And, but it is something we have. Wow. I was just, talking with a friend saying, wow, I used to really work from it's time to work. And now I will do laundry. And now I will, but this robotic sense of the way we move in life. And I was all, wow, I'm booking my flight and I'm also doing laundry. And I'm also, so how many of us have this chaos of living in creation that we've been refusing to one, acknowledge, enjoy, and let alone choose because we think it's a wrongness. And so, thank you for this 10-week series on body processes. And like you said, the main maybe takeaway has been about receiving. But for me, it's also that joy of living. Like we are on a beautiful planet. I'm one of your recent 3-day body facilitators as of August of this year. And
Congratulations.
it's yes, it is possible for all of the those of you in the journey to become a 3-day body process facilitator for Access. It is. And we each get to reawaken what it is for us. I did not know I had this joy of bodies in this capacity to invite to a different possibility. I had no idea. And yet, as I've facilitated body process classes and now 3-day classes, it's such a different invitation. So, it's so funny. We came on, it's like, how long do you want to go? And it's like, it depends how much you want to talk. And it's amazing. You can already perceive that enthusiasm is that once I get going on a topic, perceiving the listeners or what may contribute to you, you're right. There's moments I can go on for hours. So if there is anyone on live, ask a question. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here with you.
Thank you for saying yes. So since you're a new 3-day body class facilitator, what was it? Because I know you've been playing with the tools for, is it about 11 years or so now?
Yeah. Headed on to 12. Yes.
Awesome. It's amazing. So what inspired you to become a 3-day body class facilitator?
Well, actually, years ago, you guys probably know Dr. Anthony Mattis, right? And he became a 3-day body facilitator some years ago. And I was in Rome. He was sitting next to Gary and a group of people as I walked by. And Gary looked at me. He's, oh, Sylvia, you're a 3-day body process facilitator, right? I'm all, Gary, who, me? Like, what do I know about bodies, right? Was my response. I walked away. I'm all, either he wedged me subtly or I wedged myself. And wedgie is that, right? Is that energy where it kind of stays with you, like it doesn't leave you. It kind of is in your world going, wait a moment, what did he mean? What was that about? And so months later, I asked Anthony, hey, what was going on that moment you guys were sitting together? And he goes, Gary was asking, I asked him, who should I do my first class with? Because you always have to do your first one with another 3-day body facilitator that has been a facilitator for some time. And he told Anthony with Sylvia, and he's all, she's not a 3-day body facilitator. He's all, yes, she is. Like he just had it in his world that I was, and I wasn't. And at that moment, I walked away. It's like, I'm not choosing this for what reason? Like, what am I not willing to acknowledge here? And so I remember messaging Gary, and I'm not sure if I wedgied myself or you wedgied me, but I'm starting the process. There's a, and so in starting that process, it was like, but notice the energy is like, okay, I'm starting the process. It was just kind of like, sure. So
Put
that was
everything on your
years ago.
list.
Exactly. So years ago, it was kind of like, okay. And, I trickled a body process class here and there, but I was not committed. There was nothing that really lit me up about it until there was another class last year, I'd say around October, November. And I couldn't even tell you exactly what it was, but there was an energy in the class that had this demand and this reminder that our power is our choice. And that when you choose something and you're congruent with your ask, the whole universe lines up to contribute. And in that class, I was like, that's it. Wow, I have this choice and I haven't really chosen it. So, and it might have been the 7-day we had out here in Texas at the Lazy Double D Ranch in midway. So that's 7 days. It might have been like day 4 or 5. I messaged my team and I was like, I'm choosing it. So, like, everybody in all the class that I had scheduled, like, we are messaging everybody, would you like to contribute? Like, this is my ask, and I'd like to have this by next year. And in that moment, that same night, I scheduled 12 body process classes. It was like that demand to go, no matter what it takes, I'm making this happen. And it was the first time that I was willing to ask people. I know it sounds crazy, but I was willing to ask my host or people that I knew of different areas around the world that I was going to be at, would you like to help me actually, become a 3-day body facilitator with having or hosting this body process class? And the gratitude and the joy of contribution that showed up, I was like, wow, I've been refusing to receive this by not asking. So for me, that choice to finally get like that congruency of that power of choice and the willing to do whatever it takes, allowed me to facilitate the remaining 3 body process classes that I had and complete it by August the next year. So, that's a good 8 months to 9 months of just being so committed no matter where I went. And it was the moment for those of you that, are on this journey or would consider this journey. There's quite a lot of processes, and it could be this moment where it's daunting. And yet, I remember there was one class that I facilitated, and we ended up with one person. And the host, all, Sylvia, I only have one person. It's like, okay. And I still facilitated the class with the host and that one person. And at the end, she goes, wow, Sylvia, like that was such a gift. Like she goes, to be honest, I was surprised that you facilitated the class anyway. And I'm all like, yes, I'd like my classes to have, the minimums so it counts for my license. But it's not just about that. For me, it is one more person having the power and the potency of these body processes, being empowered to know that we have greater capacities than we realized, and all the change in between, and the impact it made on the host that I didn't even realize it would contribute. It's like consciousness works in mysterious ways. So, I, you'll all know, what you're choosing, but I got to say, if you're congruent with your ask, there is a lot more that is ready to contribute to you. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my goodness, you said so many amazing things in there. It's like, where do we go with it? And I love that, like, you were willing to facilitate with the one participant. Right. Like it always reminds me of that starfish story. I know so many of us have heard, and like the man's like walking along the beach and like picking up the starfish that have like washed up onto the shore and throwing them back in. And someone else comes along and is like, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time?" He's like, "It made a difference to that one." And we don't always get to see like the ripple effect of our choices. And like I know so many people were tearing up yesterday for Global Bars Day. I definitely was. And it's just like the bars, the access consciousness bars are also considered a body process. And it's like every set of bars that we run, every body process that we run, every person that we touch, even if it's just with a smile, like it creates a change and a ripple effect around the whole world. And so like I don't know, I'm just really excited right now and really grateful for like the gift of these tools and the gift of our being and that joy of being alive. And just want to invite everyone to like really acknowledge the gift that you are just by existing. And huge thank you to Sylvia for like opening up that conversation and acknowledgement of the gift that we can be, even with making a difference for one person.
Exactly. And that choice, I would say I had a huge awareness early on when I was a first body three I'm sorry, access bars facilitator. So we're talking like, 10, 11 years ago, where I chose to become a facilitator. And I was married at the time. And I remember my now ex-husband said, "Why are you facilitating the class for one person? What a waste of time." And it was this strong point of view that comes from this reality of having this transactional reality with time and money to make it like, somehow make economical sense or whatever that is. And so the next class I had, and I had maybe like two people, I was like, I canceled it. I canceled that bars class. And that was the crappiest day I had. Like my whole world just got crunchy, heavy. And I'm all, does this energy have to do with canceling that class? Yes, because I wasn't actually asking and choosing from my awareness, but I was choosing from someone else's point of view. So after that, I've made a demand like, no, if it's light, expansive, one person, I'll facilitate it wherever that's at. So, but again, it might be expansive to cancel it. That I'm not saying it's not, but the willingness to actually ask from your awareness rather than the point of view, like, I do trust the universe has my back and it's not a linear reality in my world. So magic, money, everything shows up in multiple ways. But that's also a gift of receiving. We're talking about our bodies. The willingness to get to receive has a lot to do with our bodies. And if we have decided that money can only come in one direction, you're gonna limit the flow, because the universe is all like, hey, I'm watching you. I'm seeing what you're doing, and it's creating this lightness and this space on the planet. It's like, yeah. So I trust that there is that abundance on the planet that's willing to gift. And that is another big piece that I see with the body process classes as I facilitate them. I just facilitated in Rio recently, and I literally went to Rio for the weekend to facilitate, had to rush back for Global Bars, big event in Houston. And I wasn't tired. I wasn't exhausted. There was just this joy. I slept on the plane overnight. It was perfect. I didn't lose any hours of my workday. Not that I don't work at night, but yes. Um, but it was this joy of the change and the possibility. And I always remind people, it's like, or I ask, will you acknowledge that the gift of you receiving these processes contributed to your body, everyone's in class, but also, like you said, many others, and the planet. It's like we are contributing to the planet by allowing ourselves to have more space and ease, by willing to receive more. I couldn't explain to you the scientifics or the specific details of that, but it is a knowing. The planet, I sense it. It smiles more. It lights up. There's more colorful vibrancy. I encounter more happy people. How does that work? I don't know. But it shows up. It's like, okay. So I'm like, are these classes contributing to that? Yes. Like that willingness to acknowledge that we are creating a new future by the access bars and the rest of the body processes. It's like much more than we're willing to acknowledge, and much, much more. And I'm grateful because I had asked Gary Douglas recently, and I said, what are we creating with the access bars in particular that we haven't acknowledged? So much, much more than we know. So, what a gift. This, like, if it wasn't necessarily about fixing our body, because that, a lot of people come with those points of views to body processes or, even bars. And if it wasn't about fixing it from the wrongness of it, like, what could it add? What could it enhance? What could it open up? And that's the joy I get of facilitating these classes and inviting people to a different conversation with bodies. This is definitely not a conversation I had 10, 20 years ago. Not at all.
Me either, and I'm sure many other people did not either.
Right? I always tell people, I come from a family, both my parents are from Mexico, and in the Mexican culture, the Latino culture, it's, the body, especially the Catholicism, there's that sense that your body is the wrongness of you. And as a young Latina girl, it was always, how can I hide my body, be ashamed of my body, definitely not show my body, but it was always this sense that there was a wrongness with my body. And I now know that a huge power that we have is when we are in communion with our body, when we're acknowledging it, asking and receiving contribution from it. So much more is available.
So beautiful. I grew up super religious as well. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, which,
Uh-huh.
if you sneeze wrong, you're going to hell. Yeah.
You're going.
Yeah.
It might be a lot more fun, like they say. Well, I'll probably meet you there.
Right? And like starting to come out of like the wrongness of all of that with my body as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have words for the
Yeah.
gratitude of this journey. I can't even imagine
Yeah.
like, what my life would be like right now
Right.
without like so much more space and ease and gratitude, and even just saying hi and thank you, body. I was kind of ignoring my body a little bit there for a while, so I hadn't had a massage in like 2 years. I went and got one a couple weeks ago, and I was like, seriously, it's been 2 years. Okay, we're changing this right now.
Yeah.
And I just remember laying on the table and like just having this like deep moment with my body of, I'm so sorry. And thank you so much for like being here for me and having my back. And like talking to your body sounds weird, right? For a lot of people. And like my body was just like, it was almost like my body took a big, deep breath, like a huge,
Yeah.
oh, thank you for actually listening to me now.
Yes. And I love that. Like, thank you for sharing that. I was in an earlier conversation this morning, and I remember when I was first asked, have you received your body? And I was like, what? Like, have you? Because all of a sudden it's like, I like does not compute, does not compute. Like, I couldn't get what she meant because everywhere I had related my body to receiving, it was always with what can I receive through my body, with my body. But when she asked, have you received your body? It was literally this moment where I looked down and I was like, oh, this thing, I was like, oh, wow. And so it's like, that sense of like, wow, how long I've been walking on this planet and not receiving my body. And like you said, those moments of that moment where you connect and you're like, hello, like, and thank you. Oh my, I'm happy you haven't kicked me out. Like, you know, but it's like, we have sometimes conversations about talking to our kids or the way we engage our pets or, our family and all these people that we care about. And yet it's like, oh, to have that moment with your body, it's like, why wouldn't we? But yes, it is a different conversation. It's like, you could walk around the streets. Hey, buddy, how you doing? What would you like to eat? Where would you like to go? Just put a little ear pod in your ear and you'll be fine. They'll just think you're talking to someone called Buddy. But But what if, yeah, we started to like you said, take that moment, whether it's in the morning, catch yourself in the day, put an alarm and just say hello. Say hello.
Yes, 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 yes. One of my favorite things, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, and I'm going to share it anyway. And if I get in trouble, sorry. there's,
Yeah.
there's this exercise in the 3-day body class called, the Thank You Body exercise. And you just touch your face and you just say thank you.
Yes. And it's so simple, that exercise. I wonder if it's also that elaborate one we call the 3-point exercise, where you find 3 points to connect with your body. And again, when I first heard this, I thought this was weird, and yet I couldn't deny that space, like you mentioned, that was so tender. And it's like if we're not willing to give that to our body, who are we waiting to give that to us? It's like, but that moment where it was like, I remember it's like even just your hands on your cheek, it's like, the willingness to feel your hands on your cheek and your cheek on your hands.
Mm,
Like adding that other side, it's like, oh, it gifts and receives too. Like
mhm,
just that space, it's like, oh, that is a level of receiving and acknowledging that it also receives you. So, and that's what's brilliant. We have an incredible 3-day body manual that has just this gift in the first couple pages of these different spaces where we have disconnected from our body. And it just reminds us of how and what we can how to begin to engage with one simple question. It's like, good morning. Again, it's like those things you don't think about. And I always invite people, it's like play with it. If you need to put yourself little reminders, it's like, what gratitude do I have for my body today? And, have I received my body today? Have you said hello? Have you said thank you? Like even just something as simple as that, put yourself reminders around your day, give it a shot for a week, and let us know what changes for you. Because the body has been coming around along with us as we create businesses, relationships, everything we're being and doing around our day also includes our body. So, what else could it contribute if we actually started to say hello? As simple as hello. What would you be aware of? Yeah. So, and that, again, the body processes, my sense is they begin to awaken that listening capacity we can have with our body that we have turned off or negated for any reason. So, what else is available? I wonder.
yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. Yeah. Sometimes I just like love to just receive
Yeah,
this space.
totally. And even in that, and that's part of the gift of the classes is that, one of my big classes, I guess, that is demanded around the world is the Right Voice for You class. And it's a very dynamic, we play with being on stage and different energies and receiving as well. But I gotta say, facilitating the 3-day body class, having those moments you just got to, that space, because there's so much in that silence that we don't get to have very many places around the world. It's like to savor those spaces and places of that silence. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's almost like silence makes people so uncomfortable. So there's always like, oh, what's happening? What can I do to like fill this up? Rather than just being with it. And it is such a gift.
And I got to say, one of my most challenging parts, has been to be quiet, to shut up, to allow for that space, that generative silence to contribute to the bodies, to allow them to receive in a whole different way. You know, for all the people listening that already know, a lot of the tools of access consciousness, the power of facilitation and the power of the clearing statement, all of that, that sometimes we think we have to pock and pot everything to clear the energy. And yet this class is different. The body processes are the gift, not about having to facilitate. And, we do certain things come up, But that was one of the things as I co-facilitated with Dr. Andrew Gardella, I was like, wow. He's so, yeah, it's not about the doing. It's really, there's a space of being. And I thought, wow. So that continues to be an exploration for me and these 3-day body classes. Because I'm a big doer. I like to do, I do a lot. And once I get to now acknowledge the power of space, silence, and being in a different way.
Yeah, I think, that's a challenge for most of us, right? Because we're not taught to just be, like, our being is enough. It's We're so measured and judged and everything else based on what we do, what we can contribute, what we can do, right? And what
Yeah.
takes away the, like, gift of acknowledgement of just our very being. It's be, do, have.
Exactly. And that's what's beautiful too, like seeing people's body change, their face change, the energy change. Like I've noticed now after facilitating a couple classes, it's like people come in so happy and like this like joy, and it doesn't matter your height, your size, your color, like it's not relevant. Like that's the part too that we get to begin to acknowledge that there is a gift of being that is just beautiful that I get to now witness in a different way with these classes after people have received and perhaps let go of things that weren't true for them.
Yeah. Which invites you to then be more, right? When you start letting go of the lies. So for any of you out there who aren't familiar with these tools, you have no idea what the heck you're talking about. I know you've heard the be, do, have. That's out there. And if you ever were like, what the heck does it mean to be? Or how do I be me? What does that even
Mm,
mean? Like I know that was a conversation for me and a question that I had when I first found these tools. The first year, like after I had my bars run, I just listened to Dr. Dan Here's Being You Changing the World book like over and over, like hundreds
wow.
of times.
Yes. And I highly recommend that book to anyone that's new to Access or not new to Access, because I've read it a couple times. I'm all, has that always been in there? Because, we're willing to receive different. So notice that, like, as you go to a place, as you read a book twice, but what do you read and hear and receive different? Because you're different. So yeah, being you, changing the world, such a gift. We also have the Right Body for You book that is incredible because it's the sense of, especially with all the judgment in the world of what is the perfect body, that is the standard that keeps us living in judgment because, you're not that height, that size, whatever. And it's just like, oh, when you have that joy for your body, like it is the most irresistible energy out there that, yeah. So there's so much to explore with the tools. And yeah, and the classes and the processes, like you said, it's just like, where would you like to begin? It could be a single body process class with facilitators around the world facilitating those. And if you're ready for a 3-day body class, there's facilitators and more every month around the world. So I'm sure there's one near you. And if not, I'll probably be coming to your town soon. I hop around the globe like if it was my backyard. So it's
But
fun for me, and you know what? I couldn't do it without my body. It is amazing. It has no point of view about time zones. We like hop on a plane, hop off, and just keep living. It's not about, oh, it was like, 9 a.m. and now it's midnight. Like it has no point of view. So I couldn't do it without my body. So thank you, body. So, and yes, I'm actually headed to South Africa this year. I'm headed out to for 3 day. Where else am I going? New York, and I think we're also bouncing into next year. But Argentina, Colombia, um, and Czech Republic. I think that's a right voice for you class though. But yes, so just really willing to jump around the planet to contribute to people having just way more ease with living, way more receiving. And if that's a 3-day body class, I'll be there. So
um, such a gift and an invitation. And what amazing places you just mentioned that you're going. So may ask your body, maybe your body would like to travel to some of those places
Yes.
and go explore and also receive from a 3-day body class.
Yeah. And like you said, where are you? It's like that question for us to ask is like, where am I? What would I like to ask for? Because the power of our ask is also something we still have not explored enough. Like not ask from fixing, but really ask, wow, I would love more ease with my body. What would it take? It's like, wow, I would love more, of a nurturance energy in my life. But it's like, what are the elements you'd like to ask for? And just ask and see how they show up. That's opening yourself up to receiving however they show up. And it might be, a new pet in your life, it might be a new person in your life, or it might just be you engaging and receiving your body way, way more.
Yeah, and that like I personally have been on this sort of journey as like a love affair with me,
I like it.
my body, and because I've spent so much of my life, not that I need a because, and I have spent so much of my life taking care of everything and everyone else and putting everything and everyone else first.
Yeah.
It's been sort of like this ask and demand to receive more and also to really like have this true gratitude, like this love affair with me and my body. And it's so interesting, all the stuff that's been coming up. And I'm so grateful for the gift that the body processes have been along the way, because I get that they have also sort of sped up the change and sped up me receiving more. And for those of you who've watched some of the other lives, you're going to hear me repeat this again because I love, and I probably am like misquoting Gary's words, but basically it's where he talks about like, if you will do these body processes, you will get more change than you are willing to have. Like there's such a massive gift that I cannot even begin to put them into words. And like you can just tap into the energy of that.
So, with that said, I'm curious, are you choosing to become a 3-day body facilitator?
Oh, she just put me on the spot. So it's funny because I have over the years requested the little, sheet that you're the spreadsheet checklist.
Yes.
And I haven't chosen it yet. And one thing about me, just like you were mentioning earlier, and I'm sure many others, like when you choose, like when you fully choose and you commit, it's done, right? Like it just
Yeah.
shows up and there's so much ease. So it's not something I've fully chosen yet.
Yes.
First step is me actually fully choosing to become a certified facilitator.
All right. And I'm sure that's just way too much work for you.
Not at all. I have like done the teeter totter dance with it, and people are like, "You're not a CF, really?" And I'm like, "No." Like, really? No.
I love it because there's certain people that have this generosity of spirit, and you speaking about the body processes and the space and just even this 10 weeks that you've created, and are wrapping up now. It's like, and not that you have to, because not you don't have to become a certified facilitator or a 3-day body process to be a contribution. I guess what I'm really acknowledging is the gift of you. Like, thank you, because that space that you're inviting everybody who listens now or the replay is beautiful. And you're inviting us and our voices to contribute to that. But yeah, so I just want to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I
You're
am choosing to
welcome.
become a CF.
Yes. Well, contributions to all of that for
I
ease
have
and speed.
the majority of my prereqs done, so it's almost kind of silly at this point, and I'm choosing it.
All right. Uh,
We're so funny sometimes, aren't we?
we are. We are.
Anything else that you would like to say or invite anyone to today?
The new one that I'm grateful Dr. Dane has been reminding me in so many ways. It's that you're not wrong and your body's not wrong. Like I'm just getting that more and more. And so I'm continually remind myself as I go into that real kind of subtle whisper of wrongness, like, oh, Nope, I'm not wrong. And sweet body, neither are you. What else? What other choice do we have available here? So it would be that. What if you're not wrong and neither is your body? What other choice do you have available? So thank you all.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, Facebook user, I'm sorry I can't see your name, but Facebook user says today's SOP.
Yes, we have a symphony taster this evening, and maybe they'll post the chat, the link. But
Okay.
Symphony Taster is also another gift by Dr. Dane. He facilitates the Symphony of Possibilities class, and as some of us practitioners have really desired out to go out in the world, we get to facilitate it in what we call a taster of this energy, and we get to do it in a group setting. So we have one tonight
Okay.
scheduled, and let's see if I can find the time. I believe it's 7 p.m. Houston time. So we'll be streaming from here in Houston out to the world. Whoever would like to join us, someone will post the link. But that is
Mhm.
also another, that silence in that space of noticing maybe, in a way you hadn't noticed before, that energetic contribution you can be as your being to someone else, to a group of people, and that receiving. So come and play if that lights you up, if that lights you in your body, come and play. So thank you for the reminder.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that because I was just tapping into like the energy in the space that got created today. So I totally went somewhere else with that. I thought they were like acknowledging you and like the space and the energy, which I will acknowledge you because like thank you for the space you created with this today.
Awesome. You're so welcome.
And we'll pop the
And
link in the comments too.
awesome. And now let's all go out and enjoy living in our bodies way, way more than we thought was possible today. It's like it's more is available. I know more is available. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Ciao.
Thanks, everybody.